So these are very basic things. That means when we are working with the types, we need to understand about these types. Right. That means technical terms, right? Because we know the concept, but when we are not aware of these technical terms, then we feel like we never heard about this. We never heard about this. But actually, we know about them. Only the point is we should know that technically they have this type of terminology. Then it is easy to understand and work, right? So these are basic options we need to understand in a TypeScript. Some advanced options are there. Advanced options like we have type aliases, we have like type guards. So type guards and type aliases, which are newly introduced into TypeScript, which you will come across and learn in Angular concept. So we don't need to worry about them now. We will learn about them in later stage. We will understand about that in later stage, because depends on the situation we need to learn about them, right? So we don't need to worry about some points, because they best fit when we are learning concepts like services and all, right? That you will come across in Angular, right? So with good example, we can understand them and you can handle them, right? Next important, while working with TypeScript, we have to know about another two major options. One is modules and namespace. Modules and namespace. We need to understand about modules and namespaces. Actually, JavaScript based people already know about modules. Why? Because in JavaScript, entire library is maintained in module. Right? Actually, let's first see what are modules in TypeScript. Because in Angular, they play the key role. Whenever we are working with library, we need to know that. Actually, modules introduced into JavaScript with ES5. They introduced it into JavaScript with ES5. Actually, modules are executed within their own scope, and not in the global scope, which means that variables, functions, classes, etc., which are declared in a module are not visible outside the module. Actually, a module is a collection of variables, functions, and classes. Variables, functions, classes, etc. So many. It is a collection. That means a module encapsulates a set of variables, functions, and classes. Actually, a module, technically a module is used, to maintain a repository, of functions and classes for a library, repository of functions and classes for a library. That means modules are used to build a library. Simply you can say modules are used to build library. Actually, in order to handle modules, JavaScript based languages uses AMD and common JS systems. AMD is nothing but asynchronous module distribution. Asynchronous module distribution and common JS system, which are used for compiling, processing, and handling the modules. So actually, module comprises of everything. Within the scope, which is not made available outside. So it is defined within the scope. It is not made outside. Due to that, what happens is anything declared in the module. So that means module have its own scope. Module have its own scope. In order to make the members of a module accessible outside the module, you have to mark them as export. So that means you have to simply say like, so export class and a class name, like this. We have to use export. And to implement the module members in any class, in any another module, you have to import the module and classes. So this already I told you once, a simple overview, but we will see that detailedly now. Means how we can handle that and how we can use that. We'll see that. Generally, so when we are dealing with modules, the main intention of module is to build a library. And a library usually comprises of collection of contracts, collection of classes, functions, which you can import and use in your application. So generally, how we can define and how we can use. Let's see one simple example.